because it's the silly, stupid, fascinating, weird, wonderful. They're my people, and more often than not, they're the geeky people as well.
But this real sense that what you do as you emerge out of Middle Earth in your real life is you hope, because Tolkien's so good at capturing that.
I mentioned Betamax. For anybody older, that's the old version of a video cassette. A video cassette is an old version of a DVD. A DVD is not set with a cloud.
And I said, I'm not happy, I've got bits wrong here. And she said, yeah, but that's all part of the learning process. That's all part of that makes it unique to you, that those kind of imperfections within it.
Welcome to the condiment tray of podcasts and live streams. We are chilled, mostly in date, and fit for a whole variety of meals and sandwiches. From the popular to the niche, mild to the spicy, and above all, we're hopefully able to go with most things. However you may identify, welcome to another episode of Faith and Geekery. Tonight, we were hoping to be a full core team, but unfortunately, Becca is poorly. So we're feeling for you, Becca. Hope you recover, feel better soon. But tonight, I'm joined by, whatever order?
Hi, it's Tim. And
Jen. I was going to introduce you. This is Tim.
for
for
those
podcast
on audio,
yes,
I did not.
we're all doing the Zoom thing of trying to point to the right person.
But the thing is, unlike Zoom, this is all in the set places, so it doesn't change from person.
Things are mirrored, so
Yes.
you're trying to then.
So we are just pointing at one another for those viewers.
Or attempting and failing.
Welcome, folks. Welcome to another episode of Faith and Geekery. What geekiness have we been up to? Because we've been away for pretty much a whole month, really.
We have a lot of time to geek.
Yeah. Yes. I can go with a big thing that has consumed my non-work hours.
And some of your work hours?
No.
Good. Boundaries, good.
So, for those that do not know, last week, Bethesda announced that they were shadow dropping the remaster of Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which is now in the Unreal Engine 5 engine. So it looks really nice, really beautiful, still buggy as hell. But I have been playing that every waking moment that I've got where I'm not working. It's so buggy. I love it. It's Bethesda is known for doing buggy games, and some of the bugs are amusing.
Oh, intentionally buggy or just?
Let's go with that.
Okay, it's the style.
Yeah. So one of the bugs that I've encountered so far is I'm creeping through a cavern. As my character is to creep through caverns in Fantasyland, I have used a bow to take out goblins, and I'm slowly going around looting chests while they're like unalive goblin corpses around. And I look up because I see something moving out the corner of my eye. I'm going, wait, the battle music hasn't started.
Ooh.
What's happened here? And I look around, and there's a physics engine. And the physics engine glitched. So now there's this one single unalive goblin just spinning around madly around the room like a Beyblade. And
are they dangerous? Can you walk into them?
You can walk into them, and they still just bounce and ricochet off the room. So I've now got this one goblin I'm trying to loot because I want to get my arrows back because I'm that kind of player. And he's just bouncing around the room, and I can't grab him.
Come back, unalive goblin, with my arrows.
But it's brilliant. It's really good remaster. It was shadow dropped, so no one knew about it. Well, everyone knew about it, but no one knew about it was coming out that day. And it just consumed everyone's world because I think it went up to 400,000 concurrent players within the first half a day.
Because it was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it?
It's been leaked so many times and accidentally, unofficially went upon the official website and then came down very quickly. So people knew it was there.
Yeah.
But we didn't know it was going to be shadow dropped which for those that don't know, shadow drop means they announce it the day it's going to come live. So
Very
lots
cool.
of Nintendo Switch games, when they do Nintendo Directs, will say, and it's live now.
Very cool.
It went live so quickly. Reviewers bought their copy of the game from Steam, and then as they were mid-downloading it, got an email from Bethesda saying, "Hey, would you like a review copy?"
Wow.
That's how quickly it happened.
Wow.
So yeah, that's been my main thing.
That is very cool. Very cool.
Has anyone else been up to anything? Folks watching, feel free to comment what geekiness you've been up to. Jen?
My main geekiness has revolved around Pedro Pascal, because I have upped my level of insane obsession with him. It's been there for a wee while, but recently, because of the second season of The Last of Us, I have been intensely deep Pedro Pascal internet, and this includes now going, there are many things to enjoy from this very talented artist from the past. So I have now been binge watching Narcos, and part of me is like, this is awful. Look at all this awfulness that there is. Another part of me is like, yeah, I can see this being a viable career option now. I've got it down. Either the DEA or drug lord. Like, I feel like I would flourish in both, as long as Pedro Pascal is there. I'd flourish well in that world.
I remember it, obviously him in Mandalorian, but he's also in like Wonder Woman 1984 or something.
Yeah, and that's like, he's diverse as an actor.
Well,
like
to be honest, he's the best actor in it. So,
in Wonder Woman, is he?
He's going to be in Fantastic Four later this year.
He
He's playing the ultimate dad of Marvel.
Daddy Pedro. That's
Daddy
his
Pedro.
Internet name.
Stephen says hi, and yes, it has been a while, Stephen.
Hey, Stephen.
And I think there's. Have you seen?
The answer's probably yes if it's got Pedro Pascal in it.
Yes, it's the Unbelievable Weight of Being. It's that Nick Cage.
I can't find that to stream. And I'm so tight because I already pay for all of the streaming services. I'm like, I'm not paying Amazon more money. And I think it's coming to Netflix soon, so I'm holding out. But that looks amazing. I have watched a number of clips, so I feel like maybe I've seen.
Is it the car scene?
The car. Well, that's the famous meme, isn't it? It's the car scene.
He has spawned so many memes.
He really has. Eating various things,
lying on a convention floor with a small camera, taking a photo of cosplayers,
taking a photo, just generally being joy in any room.
Celebrating his 50th gay bar in London.
His amazing sister, who I think maybe I'm more obsessed with her than I am with Pedro. Like, yes, absolutely, totally.
If you find it, there's a conversation of someone like posted that on Reddit their entire interaction with him one day, where it was similar along the lines of he was so lovely and generous, and we walked around a few places and all this stuff, and he went and he responded to it with saying, I was so high on drugs that day. It was so glad to meet you, and I loved that you looked after me.
Just completely honest. Yeah, you see, there is a lot to love about this particular brand of celebrity, but also I think because no spoilers, but The Last of Us season 2 is hard and it gets harder, so it's good just to be able to dip into other things that are reassuringly.
For those people who haven't seen Last of Us or know what that is, does anybody want to say it in a sentence?
No, me. Okay, go on.
Go.
No, you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Last of Us is based on a video game series, post-apocalyptic zombies.
Fungus.
Mushroom. Yeah, I was going to say mushroom.
But it's the cordyceps virus
that lives in the brain.
It's got a really good cold open in the first season with John Hannah. John Hannah, who talks about what the next great virus will be.
Because you're like,
the
mummy,
But he's I don't want to know spoilers. I have played both games.
Yes.
And I know what happens in the second game quite early on.
Yes.
Does that happen in this one?
Yes. They have stayed so true to it. Some things are different. And so far, every single choice they've made to be different, I'm like, justified, beautiful, absolutely beautiful, significantly beautiful, heartbreaking. Oh, some things are like, I wish I could talk about it without spoilers, because like, oh, hey,
Richard said, I do like fungus-based drama.
You're just basing that on the shower at in Durham, aren't you? Basically, I agree. I mean, fungus-based drama.
I think you might have to unpack that, Jen, or otherwise that...
No, leaving it there. Leaving it there.
Shall we move on to the news?
No, what about you, Mark? What have you been doing?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, what have you been doing?
I've been playing lots of games because it's been the Easter holidays. I've been playing Monopoly, Carcassonne, Minecraft, Ticket to Ride, visited family where we had an epic Nerf battle. My son was kind of going to see his cousins and had a big backpack full of guns and Nerf guns, and we basically, the older nephews were like, yeah, come upstairs, and they had like a large kind of chest full of all the kind of Nerf variety guns, crossbows, it was just a massive chest full, and they were like, yeah, so we're just going to do this the next couple of hours, yeah? And so, yeah, they just did that. So Ruben was in his element playing Nerf.
Have you looked into the modding community for Nerf guns?
I don't think I actively have, even though I've come across various stories where you can do
there's people who got full 3D printed tiny little catches and releases to make basically, and get modding kits to basically make the Nerf guns go fire quicker, hit harder.
Yeah, I think there was some
proper grips attached to it.
There may have been some conversation about leaving the what's the word? The air pressure ones, things, accoutrement of the Nerf stuff alone. So I was glad that it was going for non-lethal. But yes, and then just been lighting fires, like campfires and little fire pits and things like that regarding Geekery and stuff like that. So that is what
sounds good. Sounds
up
awesome.
To. Yeah, pretty much. Should we move on to the news? Let's do that.
This is the Faith and Geekery news, broadcast to your home and around the world.
We have various things tonight, folks. I thought that we could only mention at the very beginning the Pope has passed away, which I hope isn't a spoiler. But Pope Francis was fantastic. I will mention though, up on screen, I posted something which I just find is super creepy and eerie, and I think it's blatantly AI because it is Pope Francis, Princess Diana, and Paddington.
Is Paddington dead?
No, but he is the kind of the guardian to the River of Styx, the companion now, isn't he? So when Queen Elizabeth II died, there's the watercolour of Paddington holding her hand and walking away. So Paddington is death now. He's like,
I thought that was the hippo.
Oh, is the kind of death yes.
Yeah, but now it's Paddington.
Also, I'm just laughing that Paddington is sipping champagne, but they're all... Actually, no, it can't be champagne because that's not champagne glass.
No, it's wine. White wine.
Yeah.
It's wine.
So it's just weird.
Chardonnay.
It's just weird, but obviously not taken away from that. But the Pope has passed away, which is really sad.
We're not laughing about that, obviously, but we are absolutely laughing at this amazing AI picture.
And should also mention, because I watched it just a couple of weeks ago, Conclave, which is all about choosing the next Pope, as it were. And the viewership of it has gone up by 283% according to ScreenRant.
It's like, I think the day that they announced the Pope was died, they had announced it was going on to Amazon Prime in the US the same day.
Wow.
And I think everyone's just kind of said, whatever they're paying the marketing team, double it.
I mean, I've got to say it's a bit tinged, but I really enjoyed the film before the historical event happened.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't again detract away from the historical event because
fun historical facts.
Be careful.
This is very tied into the geeky stuff. The Pope John Paul, when he died in 2005, was the same year that the original Elder Scrolls Oblivion came out.
Coincidence? I thought it was to do with JD Vance, but maybe it's not.
No, JD Vance, whatever JD Vance and Liz Truss are doing, like
somebody recently has cancelled a visit with JD Vance. Somebody old and maybe slightly vulnerable in terms of their health has very recently just cancelled a visit with JD Vance, and I just think that's sensible.
I think it is.
Should
we carry on with the geeky news? There's a few slides and otherwise. There is the timeline of the Marvel kind of stuff. So there's Thunderbolts on there, which we know about. Fantastic Four, second mention this evening. Spider-Man, it just says Spider-Man 4 here, but that's the Great Day or whatever it is, or New Day.
Brand new day.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look how blessed we are to be alive.
However, it's already out of date.
Yeah, because it's
Blade's been removed from all the schedules.
Oh, it has, hasn't it?
It's had so many problems. Thunderbolts has been. The reviews came out today for Thunderbolts.
Don't tell me. I don't want to know.
All I've seen is that the reviews have come out.
I will go see anything Florence Pugh is in even if that's like eating Weetabix. I will go and I will watch it and I'll pay money. And I'll sit there for 3 hours.
The other thing in there, Avengers Doomsday, Shang-Chi 2, Doctor Strange 3, World War Hulk, that's 2027, Thor 5, is that?
4-5, yes.
Yeah, Thor 5, that's really strange. May the 7th, 2027, Guardians of the Galaxy 4, Scarlet Witch, House of M, and May 5th, 2028 is Avengers Secret Wars.
No.
Supposedly that.
Amazing. So what a time to be alive.
House of M is such a good storyline.
Scarlet Witch is the best. Scarlet Witch is the best, full stop.
Scarlet Witch is like...
She would win in any fight.
There's a really good series where it's like Scarlet Witch and she's walking the Witch's Road. And it's all the cover art is just black, white.
Is Agatha gonna be in it?
Agatha has always been in Scarlet Witch. Has always been with Scarlet Witch stuff.
Is she gonna be in?
That was a comic. No, this was a comic book series, not the TV series, but the comic book series. All the covers are black, white, and red, only in color, and they all link up to show the road.
If she is, I'll be. Oh, there's just so much.
I forgot to mention at the beginning, we're not doing the quiz tonight because we wanted to give more space for the overall subject. Though, admittedly, we're now taking a very long time.
Sorry.
This is the longest we've taken on Geeky News.
I know. This is why we're not around for a couple of weeks.
Get through.
Talking and then put on the Mandalorian.
We're going to keep on going. Yes, Mandalorian and Grogu film.
Do you know
Andor. Yes, it's Pedro, isn't it?
Pedro Pascal.
Andor season 2. The first lot have dropped. I'm enjoying that so far. And then there is Only Murders in the Building have been joined with Renée Zellweger and Christopher Waltz and Logan Lerman. So that's very exciting as well.
Next season we'll probably have Pedro Pascal in.
Oh, undoubtedly. He's going to be everywhere. And then just a little thing that Celebrity Big Brother acts his iconic room. I'm assuming it's the diary room, right? But I'm not sure. But I don't know. Does anybody watch Big Brother anymore?
No.
They do in America, don't they? They love it in America.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then
again,
I've just more things.
Yeah. Oh.
And more things on the screen.
I've just seen the comments.
Oh, does it count as geekery of a sort that I don't actually know who Pedro Pascal is? That's Rich. Oh my gosh.
Listen. You get yourself sorted out. Get yourself sorted. That is not okay. That's not okay in this day and age.
He's only
the most beautiful human being that's ever been.
Wait for the special episode of Faith Geekery where we just delve straight into Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal and why myself
reveals her tattoo of Pedro and talks about the timeline of films on her back. Second to last slide of Geeky News. I thought I'd mention it just because it's a little bit different, but there's the Rich, you don't have to be sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I'm only joking.
The concept vehicle, Kawasaki has unveiled a rideable headless horse robot. And basically they're kind of exploring Well, I think they've released it, but a lot of it seems to look AI. but basically it's a concept vehicle of where they're exploring kind of off-road and exploring that kind of, extreme sporty kind of thing of why would you, when you're going off-road, why not have it as a four-legged vehicle rather than a two-wheeled one? And I think the videos of watching it looks very AI, but it is a real kind of concept thing that they're working on, that they're kind of exploring, but just as a concept thing. So it's I'm sure it's never going to kind of really come about, but they're just gauging interest. And yeah, it kind of looks interesting. I'm not one for motorbikes, but I'm there going,
it would make more sense. It would make more sense because I think isn't that the theory that it would cause less damage to the environment because you're not actively digging it up with treads and tires and stuff, but it's just natural-ish feet.
I like how they've gone horse rather than goat. Thinking it's like up a mountain.
No, goats is the kid version.
Tim, that was awful. That was a dad joke. That was awful.
I'm going to keep on going on until the very end. Wednesday season 2 is coming out later. I'd seen this, a bit of a surprise. Tremors is going to come out as a series on Netflix with Kevin Bacon for 8 episodes coming back in August. And we are kind of starting our way through Doctor Who. Are we on episode 3 or 4? So that's really exciting too. Are we on 3 so far?
Yeah. Very excited.
Because the last one's meant to end on the 24th of May.
Yes.
It was meant to be broadcast on the 24th of May, I think.
Well, I think it's the first part is on the 24th of May because that's
it, yeah.
It's a limited release. Potential spoilers. And then finally, in Geeky News, we have launched our Faith and Geekery Facebook page, which may seem a little bit slow and otherwise, but up until now, we've been doing everything under the umbrella of Cybersten, which is my kind of place for my projects and bits and pieces. But Faith and Geekery is becoming its own little kind of entity now. It's growing. And
we are up to 98 followers, everyone.
98 followers. So we need to get to 100 before we can live stream directly there rather than on Cybersten. And so, folks, the podcast will continue as is, but going forward, if we manage to get to the 100 people mark, then we'll kind of broadcast there instead. We may overlap for a couple of weeks just to sort of see where people are up to, although that might get fiddly. So we will, and now we'll kind of eventually go across to Faith and Geekery alone rather than Cybersten. But you're welcome to join us on that. But we're also happy to kind of explore where we're going with social media bits anyway, broader, if live streaming in these kind of normal places where we talk about Twitch, YouTube and Facebook. Facebook drops off after 28 days now. YouTube is quite a good place to have a library, a backlog of videos, but that again at the moment is kind of parked onto Cybersten. It may hopefully just drop across to a new YouTube channel of Faith and Geekery, as well as is Twitch working? I'm not so sure, but if there's other opportunities for us to stream elsewhere or to be accessible, then please be in touch. Or if your streaming isn't your thing, it's just a podcast, or you like a bit of mixture or a continued conversation, now's the time to plug our Discord community. And so we are available on that. If you've never done Discord before, it's just an app you download, and you can kind of join our community of channels where we talk about various bits and pieces behind the scenes, and we do our geeky gallery. That's where we lift our photos from that, as well as gathering news if we want to share that sort of stuff. So that, I believe, is the end of Geeky News. Right, we are there, I now do believe, to talk about. Well, we should. Are we mentioning trigger warnings and
let's just do it super quick.
Trigger warnings. We're going to be talking. Trigger warnings. I think we put in the description of the video anyway. If you're watching live, and they'll be in the description of the
podcast
of the audio podcast. But it's going to be for cases around cases and allegations around sexual assault. and what's been in the media around certain people's opinions and how they impact members of our own communities and also some of our friends and family as well, which will become quite obvious as soon as we mention some of the names.
I think it also that we talk about, don't mention the author, but this goes beyond just those who are writing books. There can be a number of kind of
this will go into, like, say, actors and actors, writers, creators in general. And we'll even mention a little bit about church communities as well.
So we've talked around the subject. We've given a little trigger. Tim, would you like to give a bit of an introduction?
So the conversation we're going to have this evening is we've kind of all been having as a core team in some way or another the last couple of months, even the last couple of years for some of us. We've been having it with members of the community as well, and even like I'm not sure, I'm not going to speak for the others, but like myself, when an article comes up about something, I start having the conversation with myself around this topic. It's hard to understate how much this impacts us as geeky people. In the last year alone, we've seen countless news stories, articles, and revelations around creators of things that have done things which then cause us to think, actually, what can we, you've done this, you created this thing that we love, but how can we separate the thing we love from the creator of it? This is not something that's new. It's been something that's been going on since there have been creators of things in general. A historic geeky example would be the works of H.P. Lovecraft, and it literally inspired an entire subgenre of science fiction and countless variations of the Cthulhu mythos. And yet he, as a creator, held and expounded views at the time, and even to the audience then, which were seen as anti-Semitic, racist, and sympathized massively with eugenics from Nazi Germany of that time. So we might be touching a little bit today on Neil Gaiman and the allegations that have been brought against him, and how our love for the worlds that he has created and the stories he has written, and how that work might be perhaps tainted now because of what the allegations against him. We may be talking about J.K. Rowling and how she has used her power and influence to abuse, hurt, and even ostracize members of our own communities, and including our families and friends. We may even touch upon those from Christian communities, such as Mike Pilavachi, Mark Driscoll, and others, who have abused their positions and influence and status to put harm onto others. The questions that will keep coming back.
Do we need to be careful about what we're saying about allegedly or definitely?
Let's say allegedly.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know the full details of these that you're referencing, so therefore,
allegedly.
I don't want to get, thank you.
This is also one of the problems, because a lot of these things are actually actively ongoing cases, but a lot of these things are in the media and have been shared publicly in different articles and stuff. The questions that keep coming back are, how can we separate the good from the bad? How can we separate the creation from the creator? Or as it's said in the church context, how can we see God work through such awful situations and work despite a possibly not great person being at the center of something? And I think it's going to be a very messy but honest conversation. I think.
Yeah. Well said, Tim.
Yeah, thank you. And it does, and in some respects we're talking about something that's kind of modern and kind of like a part of our culture now. But I was struck just a couple of days ago by someone sort of saying, "Gosh, how do you deal with King David in the Bible?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, we've actually been kind of working through kind of when." The original title of this was going to be when authors go bad. It's when kind of people fall from these kind of privileged places, these kind of where they've been put on pedestals, and actually it's been going all along that these people do mess up.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because the that King David example is such a good place for us to start, because the King David story has his comeuppance written into it. And more often than not, what we see is the justice of God coming to fruition. But we're not necessarily seeing that in our context now as we live out these great injustices. And that's such and like that drive for justice, that sense of justice that we have in us, maybe even heightened by neurospiciness potentially. So maybe quite a few of us might resonate with that idea of feeling justice in our bodies. That's interesting. What do we do with that when we see a biblical example of, well, you know, you get your comeuppance, you know, that you stray away and you get your comeuppance, and you're looking around now and you're thinking, where's their comeuppance? Where is it?
Yeah.
And so then broadening this, that we have kind of recent kind of, and again, it's the, I don't want to say it because it does feel as if it's very stereotypical, is that a lot of way that as society we do it, we kind of operate this kind of cancel culture, and I know that's kind of got baggage with that phrase as soon as I say it, but it is this kind of true that we kind of say, well, actually sometimes the creation gets kind of what's the word, I don't want to say neutered, but kind of gets restricted because we don't want to give any more traffic or any more kind of publicity to the author or to the creator. And so that has already happened with Good Omens, that they've kind of reduced it down from a big series to a small featurette or like an hour and a half.
Same with Sandman as well. That they cancelled the third season, made it in second season.
Yeah.
There was a I think it was Brennan Lee Mulligan, who's a very good DM for Dungeons and Dragons and of RPGs and stuff, and really good improv actor. Was kind of saying something around this, and he basically said, you know, I think most of us have now like a shelf or like that part of the closet where it's just full of the books from authors that were like, oh yeah, no, I don't feel right reading that. Like, we don't want to go out and get rid of it because actually we have this attachment to it, and that made up a part of our lives, and we've invested time and money into it. But we don't like give that to someone else.
It's interesting. I've been thinking this week a lot about where the line was for me, because for quite a long time I was an advocate for separate the art from the artist, and I still am. And like I love Renaissance art, and you can't love any part of the Renaissance and also want the artist to be morally upstanding. Like Caravaggio was a murderer. Do you know what I mean? Like he was morally not okay, but his art is some of the best religious art that we have still to this day. So for the longest time I've been like, artist, two separate things. And then that line has been crossed for me this past fortnight. I went from, no, I can still be, and I'm gonna name her just for those who, you know, I just want to say, especially anybody from the trans community, we're standing with you and our hearts are broken over what's been happening recently. But that picture of J.K. Rowling on her super yacht smoking a cigar, that was it for me. That was the line. And on reflection, it's the fact that it's living history now. That if we were looking back at this, then, and if this was done and dusted and we were standing in a country where trans rights were the best in the world, then we could look back and we can go, well, I can be a fan of Harry Potter, and I can, you know, I've got a Harry Potter themed tattoo, and that's okay, we can do that. Whereas now that's not what this is. So for me, giving money to that franchise, having that franchise on my body now has become so deeply uncomfortable, because it is absolutely now synonymous with and is funding anti-trans, not just sentiment, but political power.
There was like, I vaguely remember a conversation of this like years and years ago of, can you remember when J.K. Rowling started publishing additional things about the world? Like, oh, this is when they installed toilets into Hogwarts. Before then, everyone just went in the hallways, kind of thing. And there was a conversation then around, okay, where can we separate what is canon in the universe from all the weird stuff the authors do later? And I think I've seen that conversation kind of become what it is now, whereas actually it's not just the fact that the author is, or the creator has added new things which just don't make sense and actually start messing up your own lore and well-built universe and creation you've made. It's actually, you're now doing it in such a way that you're using the power that you have, which has been given by the community that you've now, and
And I think there's something here as well, isn't there, that actually sometimes when we're kind of fans of things, they are sometimes of an age of like, you look back and go, actually, gosh, this is like however many years old, and time, you know, we've moved on from there, and actually, so you almost give permission or kind of you play apologetics with, to sort of say, actually, you know, I really enjoyed it then, I still enjoy it, but you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. But it's when it crosses over a line, when it's intentional, when they continue to kind of say, oh no, I still don't care, or, you know, and that's when it becomes a bit, I don't want to use the word toxic, but that kind, it does feel that it leaves that bitter taste in your mouth, and it just feels awful. But and yet there was an example again, just saw a couple of weeks ago of Frank Azaria, who is known in The Simpsons for voicing Apu. He had this really heartfelt conversation of saying he was fine doing the voiceover for Apu for many years, and then he suddenly, it was like he said, it didn't happen overnight. It was over about a 2-year period of where they kept on talking about it, and at first I was fine, but then eventually I realised, and the example he used was that that it wasn't the fact that he was just kind of doing this kind of Asian voice, it was the fact that he was not of that kind of background, and yet Apu was such a vocal character. People were associating him with the voice of Apu, and he said that there's that as a Jewish person, when he grew up, there was a voice actor who was doing Jewish kind of things. And he said, and the problem was that guy wasn't Jewish, and yet that's the only representation that was around, and therefore suddenly he felt kind of bad, because actually the only association that kind of has this kind of with the poo is not from from him, and so he suddenly was like going, and so he then made that decision and chatted with the producers and people to say, well, actually, we're not going to get rid of Apu, because that would be even worse if you just bump off the character, but instead we're just going to have him as a silent role, and we're just going to bring up representation better and learn from that. And I thought that was really humbling to hear the journey that the individual had been on, to kind of to readdress the balance.
And isn't it sorry.
No, go.
Isn't it interesting as well that the length it takes, and I'm speaking for myself here, I'm not looking outwards, I'm saying for me, the length it takes before my empathy kicks in. I consider myself an empathetic person. I consider myself somebody who enjoys making connections with other people, especially people from backgrounds that are different to mine. But the length it takes before my empathy kicks in is, for me, just this sign of, you know, that sense of we carry the image of God within us, like our faith says, we carry the image of God within us, but that's really marred and it's really broken. And I really see the brokenness in that length of time, that for the longest time I was, you know, sympathetic, you know, I wanted to be an ally, I wanted to, you know, turn up for the communities that were being hurt by the fandom that I consider myself a part of. And then the line was crossed, like you're saying, like with Hank Azaria, like the line got crossed, and then that's when my empathy kicked in and I felt it in my body. And you know, for me, for this particular issue with around the trans rights, massive blow, but it wasn't just the trans rights, was it? Let's face it. I don't know if you've seen that the BBC News bit where they had an ex-Tory MP on being interviewed by the most wonderful MP ever, very kindly explaining to him how this ruling by the Supreme Court now makes women generally less safe across the board, especially trans women. This is especially bad for trans women and for trans men, but this is bad for all women, because now, specifically speaking, trans men are meant to use female only spaces. And this moment where this MP who was being part of this, being part of this conversation and part of this ruling and part of this allowing us to get to this point, you could see it dawn on him, and it was just like he just I think you shared like a really funny meme of him having to like reboot. And he was like, because
Michael Spicer for the guy next door. He does a fantastic
funny
voiceover and replay
IT support, and it's just this. And I love that it was a Windows reboot noise as well, which is hilarious. And then it's just this sense of, actually, I wish it hadn't taken this much for me. I wish that I was able to engage this level of empathy. And this is a lesson. The other thing that's in my mind is I've been to see Sinners really quite recently this past week. If you've not seen it, go see it. It's just potentially the best film I've ever seen. But the thing that I loved about it was how uncomfortable I came out of that film, and how challenged I've been since, including there were bits about like white colonialism and what role religion played in that, specifically Christianity, and as a white person, the privilege that I carry all the time and just take for granted. And I just long for a day where I'm able to not have to need the level of time that I've needed so far to just for my empathy to catch up.
Should just mention Stephen has put, I was at the York Trans process this past Saturday, and there was a fair amount of anger towards J.K. Rowling, and understandably so.
Yeah.
I think you're right though, Jen. I think there's something here about kind of our fandom and our, dare I say, kind of level of forgiveness that we are willing to put on something that we feel so passionately about.
Absolutely.
Is almost times by the amount of privilege that we are.
Absolutely.
And so that we're distanced twice over, is that we're creating our own little buffer to kind of go, we're forgiving, we love this thing, and we're gonna give it leeway, we're gonna make excuses for it. But then also, if that matter isn't directly impacting us or as much, then we're going to go, but I still love it, and it's really hard kind of path to walk.
Absolutely.
And yet we as society need to do better. But then how far do you then go the other way? Is it somebody who's just I've forgotten who his name was. Is it Zachary Levi, the Shazam?
Yeah.
He's been kind of really pro-Trump and otherwise, and I saw him on one of the videos that my kids love, Zach King, do kind of green screen stuff, and I was like, so Zach King is kind of doing stuff with him now, and again, so I made a comment, and I've been kind of, various people have been really extreme towards me, going, you're gonna do it. There's like, blimey, gosh, The
thing is, though, I think this is where I'm up to at the moment, is that previously, if we'd done this podcast even a month ago, I would have been much more likely to say, separate out art from artists, separate out. But I feel like we're looking around now at the rise of far right. And it's been coming for a while. We're definitely seeing it in America, aren't we? But it seems to be getting much closer. It's kind of moving to, through Europe towards us, and is already here. And that kind of the rise of the far right, which, is it okay if we use the F word? Like it
fascist,
looks like
do you mean?
it's I do mean fascist, not
just
the other
checking.
one. I also like that other one, but no, it looks like fascism. It tastes like fascism. It smells like fascism. If that's what we're facing, then I feel like the line has to be so much clearer. That we have to ally ourselves on the right side of the line in a really clear way.
And then you look at, you look at the, say, in the case of, say, Rowling and Harry Potter's universe, a lot of the cast have come out, historically, the cast have come out and have been like, what she's saying, we don't agree with at all in any capacity, and have been quite vocal against her, to the point where actually, HBO are now going to do a new series based on the original books and completely remake it. And when you think about it, the bottom line is that she's being able to do that because actually she wants to distance herself from the original cast. I mean, she actually said she responded to a post can you name 3 people that you could cut out of your life really easy? And she said, oh, 3 young people, won't say their names, nudge nudge, wink wink. And it's like doing that, because actually she can also then gain more money to actually put power and influence behind some of her more extreme views.
She's paying for them. She's paying for political lobbying groups. That's what she's doing.
And it's interesting because John Lithgow, who has been, sorry, spoilers, is going to be a Dumbledore. He's been quite surprised that he's now kind of got some kind of kickback against from the trans community. And they're going to go, but if you're going to align with that,
there was
that's what you're going to get.
So a number of artists that I follow on Blue Sky, the better social media platform, or not.
Our preferred social media platform.
I feel as if we're kind of going down quite a little bit of a slope here, but carry on.
So they were a few of them were at conventions over the weekend, and they're artists, so they it's amazing art. And if you want to tip them, go on, you can tip them and get some artwork, whatever. And a few of them have got little notices up saying, I'm a trans artist. Any tip you give me would be really helpful. But they said, if you come in Harry Potter cosplay, we will not welcome your money, kind of thing. And they kept saying lots of examples of people in full Potter cosplay going over, looking at all the artwork, saying, "Oh, I love it, I want to get it," and then seeing the little icon saying, "Oh, I'm kind of in that moment being challenged of I'm supporting something that's actually against you."
Directly,
and that's
because of the author's current political weight and clout, and the fact that supporting that fandom is pretty much directly financially supporting what she's choosing to use that money for. There is something also about other celebrity lending credence to these opinions, either by directly saying, well, we're mates, or by not saying anything at all. And I was thinking this about Neil Gaiman in particular. Because of the close relationship him and Terry Pratchett had, I just always assumed that he must be this awesome, because Terry Pratchett is, was such a wonderful guy and such a role model and a part of our childhood. So I always knew Neil Gaiman was more of an adult author, but that I just assumed that he must be a decent guy. He must be okay. And there is a sense that
I have a lot of Gaiman stuff. I got a couple of he wrote Stardust, so I've got
one of my most favorite films of all time.
So I've got a couple of the books, different versions. I got a number of books of Good Omens. I've got his poetry and short essays. I loved the concept of Neverwhere, being that there's an under London and there is actually an angel that lives at Islington, and there are loads of Blackfriars at Blackfriars, and that kind of stuff.
One of the best radio dramas in recent times, I think, as well. So if you've not heard it,
I've heard that one. The McAvoy one. Yeah. And then there's also the Sandman audio one, where you got again James McAvoy as Morpheus. It's all really well done, and he does some really good rewrites of Norse mythology as well. I've really enjoyed listening to and reading. And when you read back, especially when you read some of the short essays that he's done as well, in light of knowing some of the allegations that have been made against him, you kind of sat there going, "Oh, wow, I didn't realize that."
So I literally just said to you, if you've not engaged with this Gaiman thing, you should. So why is it different for me? I'm reflecting on myself now. Why is it that I'm like, Neil Gaiman, bad man, we can still enjoy his art? J.K. Rowling,
still allegedly? I'm not sure where it is in
allegedly. Allegedly. Why is it different? Is it something to do with the fact that J.K. Rowling is using her platform in such a way to make such massive political influence in our country? Is it that? I don't know. This is a genuine kind of.
I think there is a delineation between the two. While both are allegedly causing lots of harm to communities and to people and perpetuating abuse allegedly, then I think it might be down to one of them is small individual group that we know to the extent of what's happened or how far it's gone, versus the other one is actively influencing more people, causing more long-term changes and stuff like that. I think it might be a little bit of that. I mean, I'm trying to think back to I'm thinking back to the recent US elections as a key example of this, like celebrities that came out in favor or against Trump, for example, and the ones that have gone on to, all the members of corporations. So, for example, another one, which is a weird one, would be Elon Musk, who had, people loved his dank memes that he kept requesting, and the quirky inventor, businessman, like a man of the people kind of
neurodiverse,
and yet
been in The Big Bang Theory and things like this,
and Iron Man 2,
yeah,
and on SNL and all this stuff, and yet has used the platform that they have gained to cause abject harm.
Can I just mention Steve Jones has put
yes,
us Gen Xers have had a dilemma when it comes to the Cosby Show.
Yeah,
I think I will just set and I'll start to bring us together a little bit, because I mean I've had this in a little secret place for a very long time. This is my original Rolf's Cartoon Club membership certificate, which I do not have in public anymore.
No,
that's
absolutely
out of the way. I knew a friend who was on the Jim or Fix It show from my primary school. It's all these things that have this baggage. So I think what I wanted to, I'm just aware of time, and we're hoping to do a little bit of Geeky Gallery. Is then what do we to respond to this as those of faith? How do we differ? Or should we be vocal for the voiceless, stand up to injustice? And does that differ for those who have been proven to be, proactively against, proactively far right, proactively extreme, versus those who are potentially allegedly kind of doing of damage? Or is that both the same? Do we react in the same way, or is it a bit of a mixture of both?
So I've been listening to a lot of podcasts on this, unsurprisingly, and from a faith-based perspective, and like I think that one, for me at least, the key thing is actually, we want a community to be safe. We want, a place that's welcoming and honest to everyone, but it has to be a safe place. And right now, it is not a safe place if we have people who are anti-trans in the same place as people who are trans.
Absolutely.
It is not a safe place for anyone who is, especially in the US right now, neurodivergent, because they're now classing autism as something that they can deport people out of the country for. That's we want to, if the key thing is about being an expression of the God of love, it has to be a safe place. And that is, I think, the key thing. Yeah. Once we are in a safe place and we have a safe place, the other side of the tackling injustice is actively listening to the people in our community and how it affects them, supporting them, and actually, making sure that we're not quieting their voices and making sure their voices are heard. But the other side of it as well is, especially in like a really polarized society, like looking at the US as the prime example of having lived there, there is no middle ground. It's just the extremes. To get people to have the space somewhere to listen to people's stories and share the stories, the things that people actually latch onto, the personal accounts of people, having that space to kind of, you're not going to change people's hearts and minds by doing it. But actually, they may have that little tick one direction to understand, oh, this is actually impacting people. There was one example of this was years ago in the US under the previous the first Trump administration. They deported a restaurant owner to Argentina. I believe it was somewhere in South America. They deported him, and the local community all voted Trump. And they turned around and went, "Oh, he told us he was going to get rid of all the bad people. That guy wasn't a bad guy."
Yeah.
And it was that moment, again, that was the line where they realized, oh, but I know this person.
The empathy kicked in. It's been interesting doing these reflections over the Easter celebrations as well, because I think you've nailed it there, really, Tim. I think what we want to do as Christian people is instill kingdom values. So where we see that directly not happening, that's when we speak out, and that is when really crucially we model radical hospitality, radical grace, and radical love, not to the exclusion of people who disagree with us, but absolutely to the inclusion and safety of the marginalized and those without voice. Yeah.
Inclusion and safety, I think, is right, isn't it? Because I think there is a counter argument which I've come across online before, where people go, "Oh, but if it's about inclusive, then I can have these views." And I'm thinking, no, but as soon as you treat somebody like an object, as soon as you kind of devalue them in your opinion, then you are crossing over a line.
And also, we are progressively in this country having less and less of a political centre, which means the more radical opinions, they are loud and they already have a voice. It's the voiceless and the marginalised that need to be gathered into the very centre, into the safest part of our community.
And one of the things as well is the idea of the tolerance paradox. As well, which is the idea, if you're saying you're an open, inclusive space, and you're an open, inclusive, and safe space, and you're open to everybody, that means you're tolerant of everybody. Therefore, you can have every one of all the extreme views in the same room. But actually, if you've got extreme views, if you are saying that we do not even value you as a person, that instantly does not make that person safe.
Stops it being tolerant and safe. Yeah.
And actually, to get to the stage where we can have the conversations, it needs to be about uplifting, protecting, and being inclusive and safe. That's it. First and foremost.
I feel like we could talk about this for a million hours.
Yeah. We are going to go over a little bit. I'm going to say two more things. One is that as the church as well, we need to own up to the time and to when we have people within our own flocks and in leadership and otherwise when they have done the wrong thing and said the wrong thing. And so we can't just be pointing over at the fence at other fandoms. Not that ours is a fan. Anyway, discuss. But we've got to own up for that as well. And within our roles and abilities, we've got to speak up against injustice within the church as well as outside of it.
I'm feeling that particularly as a Church of England person at the moment and always.
Yeah. Oh, bless you. And I kind of just want to kind of bring us to an end. Is it okay to finish with the words from Terry Pratchett? Is that right?
Always.
It's starting to kind of, I'm hoping to kind of like gently leave us from this very solemn subject, very kind of hard. But this is something I think was written back in 96, 97 in Feet of Clay. And it's two guards of the night watch. One is a werewolf, and one is a captain from like the kind of rural countryside. And Carrot says this. He says, "Female. He told you he was female. She," Angua corrected. "This is Ankh-Morpork, you know. We've got extra pronouns here." She could smell his bewilderment as a werewolf. Well, I would have thought she'd have the decency to keep it to herself, Carrot said finally. "I don't think it's very clear, you know, to go around drawing attention to the fact." "Carrot, I think you might have something wrong with your head," said Angua. "What?" "I think you might have it stuck up your bum."
Terry Pratchett, we love you.
I've got to say, back in the late 90s, and I think that was just fantastic.
Oh, brilliant.
Shall we move on to Geeky Gallery?
Geeky Gallery.
I think I will also say, folks, that if we've brought up something that has affected you, then please do find support. there's opportunity to find kind of people with our community. Hopefully, we'll try and kind of post up kind of helpful organisations and otherwise in our Discord, and maybe on our comments too. But we'll have to do that later because I haven't got them immediately to hand. But yeah, we are feeling for those who are affected by the matters raised by the stuff that we talked about tonight. Yeah. Let's segue to Geeky Gallery. Did you notice that was quite swift? We are running a few minutes over, but welcome to the Geeky Gallery. We've got Reverend Rev talking about this year's Christmas project, which is awesome. Is it the City of Gondor? Is it?
It's Minas Tirith.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. Mendip has got his Kickstarter items have arrived, but waiting for the hard copy until the summer.
Summer? That's a long time.
Kickstarters, like I had a Kickstarter that took 2.5 years to arrive.
Sheesh, you're waiting a long time.
But yeah,
just gotta go. Bye, Rich.
Bye, Rich.
Yeah, I feel for Kickstarters as well right now, for the same reason that lots of Kickstarters have actually had to pause their campaigns because of all the tariffs.
Oh, of course, yeah. So pictures of Lego, like a Lego city, bubble wrapped little figurines to be painted, to be constructed, I think. Tim, you've got your little picture here.
Yeah.
Is it Lincoln Cathedral?
That is the cathedral that I was born right next to. It was, as my parents would say, the first thing I saw out the window. I got to go on a full tour of the cathedral. I got to go into the rafters.
Look at you in your flat cap.
I was so happy.
You can tell.
And my favourite bit was there was so much like graffiti on the walls. I was so happy about because I love like old medieval graffiti. Which is really nice to see. But my favourite bit was we got out onto the south balcony, which is the top right photo. So looking over the old Bishop's Palace, Edward King House, and where the Anglicans all meet. So big up my Anglican friends. Whoop whoop. But literally, we got out there, and the guide, it was his first tour, and he turned around and says, and now, hopefully, if I've timed this right, we should be hearing Old Tom, the bell, the cathedral, any second now. And as he pointed, it chimed for 11 o'clock and the bells went off.
That is amazing.
Like, oh, good lad.
Loud.
So it was the vibrations can be felt for a full minute per chime.
I am aware of time, Tim, so I'm going to kind of draw us on again.
Awesome.
Jenny, you kind of said about Seagull. Is it a best play that you've ever seen?
I obviously use hyperboles a lot, but yeah, it is.
You're showing your top, which says Kate Blanchett on it.
She was in Seagull, and she was
cool.
amazing, and it was amazing, and you can't see it because it's finished, and I'm sad for you because it's life-changing. So, but it was awesome, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Another post from Mendip talking about Excel Center Salute 52. Is that Warhammer? I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yes.
I've got a couple of bits on there, which I won't go into those. I've got something a little bit later on. Book Monster Lizzie from a few weeks ago is talking about her geeky reading, which is The Merchant of Prato, Daily Life in a Medieval Italian City. And she's been doing, is it Second Life at Gym with, with Sims.
Of course, it's Sims, yeah.
As soon as I said it, I knew I was wrong. With the gym and comedy club upstairs.
Amazing.
And she even says that it's written in Sims. It's been created in Sims. Tim, again, you've got office decor up and a full set of Pokemon, is it?
A full set of Pokemon pocket cards. I finally caught that. Lasted Beedrill.
Note just went on a train between the Weather and Complex Diary Clashes, Heritage Railway. I think it's at Brown Hills West, and a lovely little steam train.
Chasewater Railway.
There you go.
Nice one.
And here I've had this ongoing I've mentioned this in Discord, my ongoing tavern issues and otherwise, which has completely killed my 3D printer bed, but I need to get a new one, so it's fine. But yeah, started off doing a small tavern, then accidentally printed a second tavern. Genuinely accidentally, and then felt obliged then to complete it to make it into a bigger tavern. Anyway, long story, but
you just hate having tavern issues.
Absolutely.
You do when that happens.
So now I've got multiple taverns. So that's that. And note just again about playing his first ever D&D experience. So that was pretty cool. And now I feel as if, somebody had said about doing, and I should have taken a note
It
about.
is Note Just.
Is it Note Just about their friend who's doing some resin stuff?
Oh, maybe.
I'll have to have a look. We'll post about it. But also then talking about cheap budget model railways bits and pieces as well. I think that is the end of Geeky Gallery. Sorry, folks, just tried to rush that through to the end. So, yes. Right. Is that everything, folks?
Nice one.
I don't even know when we're next back or around, or if we're now.
When will we three meet?
Exactly.
When the toilet, I can't remember. I used to know that off by heart completely.
When the potholes are filled in and the lettuce has not molted.
That is not the OG, but I love it.
So we are coming to the end of another Faith and Geekery. Thank you, folks, for watching, for listening, and just a reminder of our Facebook page, our Discord community, as well as we haven't mentioned yet actually that we are having conversations about being, so for the Methodists we've been at Cliff Festival, or non-Methodists at Cliff Festival next month, end of May. We're also having conversations about Comic-Con and not finalised with where and what and how we're going to be there for that.
And Greenbelt?
But then there's also Greenbelt too. So we're in various conversations. So,
find us in the wild.
Yeah. So as well as live streaming, podcasting, you might be able to find us in the wild too. So thank you, folks. Thank you for tonight. I hope we have covered the subject well enough, and I hope that you're able to find support if and where you need it. Bye bye for now, folks.
Bye.